Hey, what's up, kooks? This is Mike. I'm here to review the movie North Shore. This is a classic from 1989. You won't believe how much you're gonna love this movie. You're gonna love this movie so much, you're gonna go crazy, I tell you. It's North Shore from 1989. So here's the deal. It's a big blockbuster budget release film from Universal Pictures. I don't know if it's really a blockbuster budget release film, but it's, a real studio film, not like a surf film or something like that. So what it is this guy Rick Kane. He's from Arizona, right? And he's only surfed in wave pools his whole life, but he shreds, man. He's pretty good. So what he does is he wins this contest. He's shredding in the wave pool, and he goes to Hawaii with the money that he won, man. It's gonna buy him more than a few tacos, man. It's gonna buy him a trip to Hawaii. At least that's what the poor man told him. Anyway, he gets to Hawaii, and the guy he's supposed to stay with, well, he's at the bar, and he dogs out Rick, man. He says, "Nah, man, you can't stay with me, kook. Get out of here." So Rick, what does he do? He finds Occhi and Alex Rogers. Yeah, that's his name. Occhi and Alex Rogers. And he goes, they get in the Jeep, and man, they drive through the sugarcane fields and all this stuff, and then they end up at Lance Burkhart's house. Lance Burkhart, man, he's a pro surfer. He's the best. And so then what they do is Rick hears and Occhi hears. Occhi hears the swell, I think, and he says, "Yeah, man, it sounds like a 10-foot swell. Sounds like a 10-foot swell. Tomorrow should be pumping." And Rick, man, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Rick's never even been in the ocean, man. He's only surfed in wave pools, bro. So then, take a breath. They wake up, and then they go surf. And Rick's a kook, and he's in Hawaii, and I think they're going to surf, Pipeline is the first break they surf, or Sunset? Oh man, I should know this. I've seen the movie 100 times since 1989, probably literally 100 times, North Shore. That's Rick right there, by the way, and that's Keani. Oh, spoiler alert, Keani. So then what happens is they're surfing, and he's a kook, and I don't know, is the Hui come already? Is this too early in the movie? Well, I don't want to tell the whole movie, I guess. This is more supposed to be a review. But the Hui comes, and they call Rick a kook, and they say, "Go home," and better you go home. And then finally what happens is Rick meets Chandler, the shaper, and I lost a lot of the energy there. So Rick meets Chandler, the shaper, and Turtle. I forgot all about Turtle. How do you forget Turtle? I don't really remember the order of the movie. I should remember. I've seen it 100 times, North Shore, since like 1989. All right, so what happens is he meets Turtle, and Turtle's awesome, and he has a really thick, like, pigeon accent, like an island-style guy. But he's a white dude, and he's got the scraggly blonde hair, and he looks like a surfer, and he talks like a surfer, and he rips, man. He drops into this one barrel in the movie. Pipeline, sweet barrel. Was that a right or a left? Pipeline, left. So then what happens is Rick eventually hooks up with Chandler, kind of like I said a minute ago, and he meets Burkhart, and then he finds Keani, and he starts messing around with her a little bit, or getting interested, and she kind of likes him, but he's a haole, and then it turns out Keani is the cousin, of Vince, the leader of the Hui, the guys in the black trunks, and then they find out that Rick's messing around with Keani a little bit, and they don't like that. And then Rick gets in a fight, and then he goes back, and Chandler's like, Rick's like, I just got punched by the reef. And Chandler's like, you got in a fight over that local girl, didn't you? He's like, man, you can't keep anything secret around here. So then Chandler starts to teach Rick how to surf. And he starts by just teaching him, like, sitting out by the water at Waimea, looking at the way the waves are breaking, trying to teach him about all the basics of surfing and the fact that the waves break in certain places and what the tides do and all that before he's even going to put him on a board. And then he starts surfing him on the oldest board he has, a koa wood board, weighs like, 100 and something pounds, and doesn't even have a fin on it. And Rick uses his foot to surf this big koa wood board down these not gnarly waves, and Chandler's riding with him, and and the surfing sequences are pretty bad. They drop in on a left on a long board. The next thing you know, he's surfing a right on like a short board. And it's pretty bad, but all makes for the greatness of this movie right here in North Shore. So what happens then is Rick starts to get pretty good. He surfs better and better, shorter and shorter boards. Not that those are necessarily better, but in this case, he was learning how to rip, which was actually not really what Chandler wanted. Chandler doesn't like ripping and shredding and all that, imposing your own style of acrobatics on the waves, as he would say. He likes more, a soul surfer, a pure surfer, a surfer who goes with the waves, knows where it breaks, the right place to be, that kind of guy. But Rick starts to become a shredder, kind of. And then, again, Burkhart is like the ultimate shredder. And Rick kind of looks up to him, and Chandler's like, nah, man, you don't understand. Burkhart's just a whatever, a corporate stooge guy, ripper, shredder. He rips and he shreds, but like you don't want to be like Burkhart. You need to be like a true soul surfer guy. And then Rick says, all right, but I'm going to enter the Pipeline Classic. And can I use the board in the contest? He says Burkhart's board, because ultimately when Chandler was taking him through the progression of those boards, he ended up surfing Burkhart's board, the one that Burkhart rejected, actually. Chandler reluctantly shaped the board for Burkhart earlier in the film, and Burkhart like, nah, man, the nose is too thick, and this is, I don't ride waves going straight like some people I know. Chandler, this is an old man's board. You still have a single fin mentality, he told Chandler. So he gave the board back. This was earlier, like I said, and then Rick ultimately progressed to that board in the film and became ripping on Chandler's board that he had shaped for Burkhart. And anyway, he takes it to the contest, and I'm not going to spoil what happens in the end of the movie. There's probably about a little more left to go, but you know what? He's already in the contest. This isn't a spoiler yet because he hasn't even made it to the main event yet. Everyone figures, well, you know what? Maybe he could qualify for the contest even though he never even surfed a real ocean in his life, and now he's been in Hawaii for like a couple weeks or something, and he's in the Pipeline Classic. But again, a really, really awesome movie, regardless of these somewhat, anyway, major flaws, if you will, but it's, you won't believe how much you're going to love this movie. So he gets to the contest and he ends up doing pretty well. And then like everyone's kind of surprised, obviously. And Chandler gets wind of the fact that, he must be doing pretty good. And he shows up. He's like, Rick, you made it to the main event? No way. So then he makes it to the main event. And you know what? Forget the spoilers. It's not that kind of movie. It doesn't matter if you know what happens because it's awesome. It's North Shore. So then he gets to the main event. He ends up obviously surfing against Burkhart in the major heat, in the last heat of the event. And Burkhart is like, he's really nervous. He's not nervous at the beginning. He goes in thinking he's going to shred this kid. And he even tells him, I'm going to spray. No, not I'm going to spray you, but you better, I don't know. So one guy says, oh yeah, Burkhart. Oh, Turtle says, Burkhart, that guy Rick Kane, he's going to stomp your ass. And Burkhart says, you just better stay out of my way. Something like that. I think that was it. So anyway, it's the end of the heat now, and the other two guys, who is a 4-man heat final, it looked like, and like I think it was Derek Ho and someone else are out now, and they paddle in for some reason before the heat's over, and it's just Burkhart and Rick Kane out in the back of the lineup, and Rick's just kind of chilling. He didn't expect to be there, and Burkhart's splashing around. Shit, damn it! I need this win. Rick's like, I didn't expect to make it this far. Kind of kooky, but fucking sweet. And then this big set rolls in, and they pan to Chandler, like on the beach. And they're like, oh, Chandler sees the set, and he's kind of like remembering all the things he taught Rick about, know where the waves break and all this. He's like, Rick, turn around, like channeling the energy to Rick in the ocean. And Rick's kind of looking up over out the back, or outside, as we used to say. Now the kids say out the back. And he's looking outside, and he sees this, and the music kind of starts up. And they both start paddling for the wave, Chandler and Burkhart. And like Chandler and Burkhart, what am I talking about? Rick Kane and Burkhart are paddling for the wave, and I guess Rick has position, but Burkhart like pulls Rick's leash, dude, and just and Rick bails, and Burkhart drops in and like gets the winning wave, and the announcer's like, oh, that was weird, looks like Rick just caught a rail, but Burkhart actually pulled his leash. And then what happens is he gets into the shore, and there's this guy on the shore who's taking pictures, the professor. He was in the movie a few times earlier. He's pretty sweet. The photographer guy, the beach photographer, he's taking pictures during the contest, and he saw like when he was pulling the leash. And so Burkhart's walking up, and the professor's like, hey Burkhart, want to buy some pictures? And Burkhart's just like, idiots. And then the Vince comes back, the guy from the Hui, the leader of the Hui, who had beef with Rick the whole movie and all this. He comes in and he's like the head water judge out there. So he's hanging out, and Chandler's now all up in arms like, Rick, we're going to file a protest. This is BS. He pulled your leash. And Rick's like, no, hey, Chandler, chill out, man. I'm a soul surfer. It's not about that. It's not about contests. And then Chandler's like, yeah, Rick, he gets it. He gets it. And even then Vince Moaloka, the head of the Hui, he gives Rick a shaka, and he gives him, like, hey, good job, kook. No, but good job. And, they're just like, everyone's loving it. And it's the greatest movie ever. North Shore, Universal Pictures, 1989. I think it's on Netflix and all those other things. So go see it. Thanks for watching.